Okay, my friends, it is January 21, 2025. I'm going to start going through some sessions that I just completed a few weeks ago with a quote-unquote target that I've been working with Dustin Newcomb. My buddy Dustin Newcomb set this up for me. This has been a very long, ongoing project with long breaks in between doing work on it, and that in itself is pretty interesting to me. This is the target ID. TAQNSPSG this is what Dustin gave me. We started this in April. He set this up April 26, 2024. So this was quite a while ago. What are we looking at here? This is what he set up. What he wanted me to look at. Hopi prophecy. Let's get into what he has set up as a tasking. Let's see. TAQN-SPSG is the Hopi prophecy delivered to the United Nations, 12/10/92. The viewers to perceive, experience, envision, describe, and draw in detail all information on these prophecies, in parentheses, not only limited to what is written and shared to the public, but those prophecies and visions handed down through generations of speech alone. The Hopi elders that foretold them and their culture to gain a better understanding of their literal and symbolic meaning, as well as the chronology of the prophecies, the time scale of it, which came up here too. This came up too. Of the prophecies from as far back in history as information is available to ascertain the significant future timelines and potentials. Timelines again comes up again. The viewer will use any remote viewing modalities, including dream work, astral vision, to gain access, insight, and knowledge of the target TAQN-SPSG. The details. The viewers to perceive, experience, envision, describe, and draw in detail specifically the writing, paper, and letterhead of the United Nations Hopi message to the United Nations in 12/10/92, above Exhibit A, and the presentation of these written words to the United Nations Assembly. The viewer should place himself there during the exact time of the reading to understand its impact on the assembly. This comes up later. Okay, so that is the tasking that I just received about 2 weeks ago after finally finishing these sessions, and where we were like, okay, I think we're done. This is a transcript of the message to the United Nations back in 1992. I'll leave the link below for anyone who wants to read them. It goes through some of the prophecy. Now, this is what's interesting about this, is that what I'm being asked to remote view is a prophecy that was handed down from generation to generation. It's not a physical thing. It's an idea. It's a prophecy. It's a vision. Trying to remote view someone's vision. That is interesting, because a lot of the stuff came through in the session. In the final session, we get into something along these lines here. This is a very interesting thing right here, and makes it so timely, and in my opinion, why I was only able to finish the project a couple of weeks ago. But part of the Hopi prophecy is regarding a man with a red hat. And I'll just read this from the UN thing here. It is known that a true white brother, when he comes, will be all-powerful and will wear a red cap or red cloak. He will be large in population and belong to no religion but his very own. He will bring with him the sacred stone tablets. With him there will be two great ones, both very wise and powerful. One will have a symbol or sign of the swastika, which represents purity and is female. a producer of life. So we're not talking about Nazis here. We're talking about the swastika is thousands of years old. It goes back to the Hindus in India. The Nazis stole that. So I want to be clear about that. The third one, or the second one of the two helpers to our true white brother, will have a sign of a symbol of the sun. He too will be many people and very wise and powerful. One will have the symbol of the moiha, or cross. We have in our sacred Kachina ceremony a guard rattle, which is still in use today with these symbols of these powerful helpers of our true brother. This is the whole thing here. This is the transcript as well as the prophecy. It's very long. There's another video on YouTube where you can have the Hopi elder back in 1972 going through the prophecy here and telling the story, including the part about the white brother with the red hat. Is that Trump? Is that somebody else? Dustin and I are contemplating that ourselves. It's very timely. It's very interesting that what that could represent. I'm not saying that Trump is the guy with the red hat. I'm not saying he is, and I'm not saying he isn't. I don't know, but some stuff comes up in the final session that I'm telling you, that's the person that was on my mind. He talks in here, he goes through the prophecy that includes a single language, a period of the transition from what they call the fourth world into the fifth world. And that's what this depicts here. The Great Spirit, these are the symbology here of the sun and the cross. These represent the worlds, and according to their prophecies, we are here at the end of the fourth world. We're at these crossroads here. If we go this way, it's destruction. If we go this way, it's prosperity and abundance and that kind of thing. That's the very short version of it. But the four worlds that he talks about basically are civilizations that started and ended, and then another one started and ended, and you can see them correlated through historical teachings of the Great Flood, the Ice Age, maybe even back into the Atlantean Age, the Adam and Eve era, and then finding ourselves here at the end of the fourth world, which is what, there's some interesting elements of that came up in the session. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the sessions and try to understand what I was attempting to perceive here. These are some of the Hopi watchtowers, because some structures like this came up in the sessions as well. Again, I'm attempting to remote view someone's prophecy. It's not an easy thing to do. I don't understand everything in this session. I'm not saying that I do. I'm going to go through it all. I'm not going to leave anything out because I don't know what is good and I don't know what is not good. Meaning I don't know what's accurate and what is inaccurate, and I'm not going to leave anything out or try to overanalyze it myself. I keep it open. Okay, so I started this session, started doing a project May 10th, 2024. Getting a structure here. It's coming in. And let's go into some of these playthings. This is a place here. There's some location. But what about it, though, I wondered? And there were people going in and out. It was an active facility, like a university or a place like that. A company or business that is looking at something over there, meaning over here. Are they spying, though, I wondered? What are they looking for, contemplating? It's like a radar or radar system, like a beam pointed at something. It was very interesting. Why a beam, though, I wondered? Is it shining a light? Is it cutting through something? You know, like a laser can cut through something? Is it detecting something? The beam itself is very interesting to me. I did a rendering of it. It's like there are codes or messages in the beam being sent. What kind of messages, I wondered? Data being sent, basic stuff. From one data storage to another. Why? What's the big deal, though, I wondered? Something about it feels like a test run, like running adjustment tests. Oh, that's interesting. There is still this lingering sense of spying on something. Why spying, though, I wondered? Just the secretive nature of it, I contemplated? An undetectable data transfer? A type of quantum computer system, I wondered? Going from host to satellite, out on some perimeter? I can perceive multiple of these beams being sent out in these directions, 4 directions. Very timed to a specific calendar. Well, what does that mean, I wonder? This group uses a different calendar. They operate on their own time scheduler, like a different calendar, which is very interesting to me because we're talking about a Hopi prophecy that includes 5 worlds, that we're at the end of the 4th world and moving into the 5th world. That is a calendar, a type of calendar, a time reference of going from one world to the next. So I wanted to go into that, like a different calendar. Not like months and weeks. It's a different construct. I'm getting a better understanding of that now. They operate on a different time model. For lack of a better phrase, it's like quantum time on a quantum calendar. But how does this even help them, I wondered? Understanding speeds, or the speeds of time. It can pinpoint specific points in time and space, like when we're moving from one world to the next, I imagine. This puts them there much faster, though the concept of quote-unquote faster doesn't seem to be in the vocabulary. Pinpointing time and space, that is the goal, and that was what I was trying to depict there. People on the edge of oblivion. That is very interesting, because that's what the prophecy says we're at here. That's where he is describing that we are. We are a people on the edge of oblivion. What are we going to do? Are we going to go into destruction, or are we going to go on a path of abundance and prosperity, I guess? But that is very interesting. A people on the edge of oblivion. What does that mean, though, I wondered? Pushing themselves further and further until they are at maximum capacity, before they implode and start over. That's the prophecy. Or time collapses around them. What is their perception of time, though, I wonder? Good question. Something representing the stars and planets, but there is an additional factor, an additional force. What pushes matter? And I was inspired to draw this idea here. If they could squeeze it in between their fingers, this would be the special force, maybe the great spirit, maybe. It would still be based on movement, though, right? I question. Speeds and movement and counting, I contemplated. And I had this idea to draw this kind of calculation system here and here. Like they use some form of geometry for mapping time into some form of a calendar based on shapes, which is what they have here. With certain shapes that they have. Like this, the sun with the swastika in there and the Celtic, what's considered the Celtic cross, and those things in there. I'm wondering. Even though they have a rattle that looks quite similar to this. In fact, this is kind of reminding me of the sun symbol. What about movement, though, I wondered? How does it interact with movement? I contemplated. How would they do that, I wondered. This calendar that they have. Balance? That's what I was perceiving here, which is what they're talking about here. Here. I'm trying to break it down into something simple, but that's not an easy thing to do. It's not easy to try to describe so much prophecy, as there are elements of shape and weight involved that calculate some alternate math that is used to distinguish a place in time and space, a form of timekeeping and calendar, a place, to distinguish a place. What does that even mean, though, I wonder? How to find the place that derives from time and space? And I had to wonder, does the quote-unquote place then have specific qualities? And if it does, how? I wondered. What is this place? Something like a quote-unquote place is in some form of vortex, a different quality there that allows for this understanding and alternate ways of doing things. As a generic term, they could be within another dimension. And within that dimension, the weights and forms and spaces are all designed for that dimension. I had to wonder about design. What does that mean? To be made for the space, the lengths, the weights, they are all a representation of the natural order of the space, a perfect balance. That's what they're talking about here. That's what they're talking about here. If not, it would immediately collapse on the edge of oblivion, like at the edge, the end of their reign, which is what the whole prophecy is about. Their peak. Then they are at the edge of a cliff, looking down, the end of a civilization, the breakdown. A time when the scavengers roam the halls, picking at the bones, a sweeping chaos. Why, though, I wondered? Is it like counting 1 to 10, then start over, I wonder? Is it a rush to insanity, I contemplated? And here's the sun symbol here. Right here. There's the sun symbol. What were they looking for, though, I wondered? Some type of notion of escaping from the physical form? If you could understand and comprehend matter, maybe you could change form or move on, or resurrect, to be reborn, shapeshift. In these prophecies, it goes into the fourth world that they say we're in now, and what is the downfall of this fourth world. And it is in the realm of this kind of, which may be seen as forms of abomination. Reborn into what, though, I wondered? Different shapes, different forms? I didn't understand. They may not have thought this through, meaning the people on the edge of I'm talking about the people on the edge of oblivion here. They may not have thought this through. At this point, my personal sense is that we are looking at a civilization that went in the direction of something they really didn't understand. They may have taken a wrong turn, made a mistake, obliterated themselves via what may have started out as a novel pursuit. Adam and Eve storyline, which is one of the early worlds of their 5-world prophecy. Ignorance is bliss. Do you have to obtain and store knowledge, though, I wonder? Is the pursuit required, I contemplated? Is it not unnatural? Prometheus. Quotes here, will the gods always keep humankind down? Says the people on the edge of oblivion. Is it just myths and stories? I wondered. What about the creations? What about the civilizations that have applied these learned skills? They cannot be discounted. Did they go too far or not far enough? I had this guy on his throne. He sits on his throne and curses the gods. He sits unsatisfied. He's not getting what he wants. What did he want, though, I wondered? To be immortalized, stored in history. Luckily, the smart people do the work. But this guy controls resources, and the smart ones need the resources, so they put up with him. But for how long, I wondered? Do they tear it all down? I was getting these images here of like Mayan calendars and Aztec stuff, even Flower of Life. These kind of symbols were coming into my mind here. Sun symbols here, calendar symbols with the sun, that kind of thing. These were coming into my mind. Could this affect the location, though, I wondered? Affected how, I wondered? Again, I'm in the oblivion stage here. Psychologically, maybe? Is it just a matter of insanity? Do these people obtain a lot of knowledge, then do too many mind-altering substances, and drive themselves into oblivion? I wondered. There are people, when I look at this, I'm not thinking just, are they doing LSD or something? I'm like, what, the people who run the world, so to speak, are pushing us to the edge of oblivion. What kind of drugs did they take? I wonder what kind of drugs they take. This seems possible, but how? Is it the intoxication of knowledge? The effect of knowledge on the brain? The geometry? The sound vibration? What if they are not ready for that, though, I wondered? Will it drive them insane? To have the knowledge, but no means of materializing it. The intoxifying effect could turn negative. The frustration of it. Add on an intoxifying plant or substance, and you are ripe for oblivion. Suddenly, horrific things seem rational and ritualized. Yeah, if you're out of your mind, if you're completely intoxicated or toxic. Yes, horrific things can seem rational and ritualized in that state, which sounds like here, right here. Ritualized death. One could justify it and say, I was out of my mind at the time. For some reason, blood was required. Boy, are we hearing a lot about that now. Blood rituals, blood sacrifices. Seems about right. The end of the fourth world. These are the thoughts of someone who is highly intoxicated and toxic. An element of toxicity enters the equation. These are the insane people here. But how, I wonder? The toxic substance, or the black ooze maybe, the toxic substance or element brings with it the element of death. Maybe it's that thing. Even if you don't know it. Yeah, that really sounds like that thing. This is an intoxicated person here, in which this is an intoxicated person here in this tasked time and space. A trapped soul who seems like it's being devoured, eaten alive. Wow. Wonder if it's maybe someone whose last name starts with F, or maybe someone whose last name starts with G. Is this a lesson for when things come too early? And in the early phase, it's not possible to materialize what is seen, yet the drive and obsession to materialize it becomes an all-encompassing force that moves from construction to destruction. Wow. The people and what they are trying to do. Right, I had this idea of this person here. The people and what they're trying to do. Make connections with others. The people, though. How to make contact with others. How to establish a type of Okay, now this is where we shift here. We go into the people here. How to make contact with others. How to establish a type of universal language to speak, to govern. That's in here. He has it in here, if I can find it, about a common language. Talks about a common language. It's in here somewhere. And he talks about it here too, that when we get here, if we can get into if we don't go into obliviation, then we begin to communicate with some type of common language, which is what I'm talking about here. Type of universal language to speak, to govern. Govern over, though, I wonder? Just to govern, to spread a message, to share a message across far-reaching lands, to establish a universal language, a common communication bridge, which is what he's talking about here. To pass something on. Is it like a shared transmission, though, I wonder? A form of universal code, a common form, to be used as a guiding force. For what, though, I wondered? To build, to expand, to broaden horizons. Like a global grid broken down into geometrical quads, a type of pinpoint mechanism. Map-type qualities, mapping and assigning, giving governance. What does that mean, though, I wonder? Establish a creation. If that is attained, then further instructions will follow. Ooh, that's very interesting. Because when I read that after going through some of this, and trying to wrap my head around the prophecy itself, this would seem to me that if this line here being the end of the fourth world, we either go up here to oblivion or here into balance and abundance, seems like what would happen here. Establish a creation. If that is attained, then further instructions will follow. It must be done one step at a time. One step at a time, iconic pyramid shape there. Starting with a foundation step, then security, formation, overview/outlook, rising step, and pinnacle step. A type of system built into and built upon. It has an element that wants to stop, though. This is strong. It has an element that it wants to stop. Something stopped, a pullback or opposition factor. Whoa, I think that's where we are right now. Someone or something forced a stop, or is/was attempting to. An opposition at play. A governor to slow or stop something, to cap something, or pull back. Communication. This is like an above ground view. So I was seeing this kind of place. I don't know what this structure might be here. But it was like some kind of a communication building that deals with communications. Structures that are connected. Unusual structure complex or object that connects two sides. Two sides connecting. What does that even mean, though, I wonder? A communication and a delivery system that interacts back and forth, sending and receiving signals back and forth. About what, I wonder? Deliverance. What does that mean, I wonder? A higher function, a higher resonance, a high sound frequency, like a radio tower or sender of bandwidth, as far as it can go. A tuner or tone generator feels very physics-based, like an anti-gravity facility or something like that. Higher resonance generator. For what? Send out a signal? That was the end of this session. What could that be? Sending out, what is this? What is that? I wonder if something like that is in here. I'd have to read. This is a lot to read. There's a lot to take in. I wonder if there's something about that in here. This was the first session. I think I got 4 more sessions. This one completed out in June. So I started in May, completed out in June as the first session. Oh, there's so much going on here. Wow. Very timely. The final session, in my opinion, brings us here. Hopi prophecy concerning the man in the red hat. That gets addressed something along those lines in the final session. This is the end of the first one. As far as the interpretation of this, I'm trying to wrap my head around it and see how timely it is and the significance of that. So I'm not claiming to understand it all. I'm just presenting it, and we'll see where we go into the next session. Thanks for watching. Hope you find it interesting.